Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us for part two of our college admissions panel series. This evening, we are joined by several current college students, as well as a recent college graduate student who will be talking to you about their experiences with college and specifically the admissions process so that you may get some of the questions that you have answered. I do have a list of prepared questions, but if you have any questions, this goes out to our audience members, our participants, I should say. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat and we will make sure to get your questions answered. I'll first introduce myself and then I'll give a chance to all of our panelists to introduce themselves and what universities or colleges you are from. So again, I'm Stacy Shapiro. I am the outreach coordinator at the Summer Youth Employment Program at United Activities Unlimited. And now we'll give a chance to our wonderful panelists to introduce themselves. We can start with you, Trisha. Tell us what school you go to
Good
and what you're
afternoon,
studying.
everyone. My name is Trisha Bartholomew. I am a senior at Medgar Evers College. My major is public administration. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. What about you, Martini?
I also, I am attending Medgar Evers. I am a junior and I am majoring in psychology.
Awesome, very cool. What about you, Jamel?
Good afternoon, everybody. I am a sophomore in Medgar Evers College and my major is psychology.
Wonderful, great. Thanks for joining us. And Jessica, where did you go for undergraduate and where did you graduate from for your graduate degree?
I'm a recent graduate, so I went to St. John's University for undergrad and graduated in 2019. And then I went to Hunter College for grad school and just graduated in September. And I majored in speech pathology.
Awesome, and congratulations. Thank you again to everyone for joining us. Again, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to share them in the chat. I do have my own round of questions that I'll use to help kick us off. So since this is a college admissions panel, I'd love to hear from all of you, our panelists, what your experience was like applying to college, and was there like anything notable or unique about the college that you ended up attending that motivated you to go to that college?
What motivated me to attend Medgar Evers College is that it's a HCBU, meaning like it's a historically Black college. And just to get an insight of being on a fully campus that would give you a bunch of educational stuff that you probably may not have gotten if you went to other college. And just wanting to know, I came from other country, which is Trinidad, and coming from Trinidad to here, I wanted to know a bit more of the history over here. And that was a great way to dive in and learn because Medgar Evers College is named after a civic leader, Medgar. So that was the reason, one of the major reasons that I wanted to go there.
What motivated me to attend Medgar was when I was doing research. Originally, my major was nursing, and Medgar actually offered additional resources to cover as I attended the nursing program, where by the time I would have graduated, if I stayed within that major, I wouldn't have such of a high debt when I did the research. So that was why I attended Medgar.
Awesome, good point. Research is important. Make sure you do your due diligence and really look into all the colleges that you're applying to. What about you, Jamel? What motivated you to attend?
What motivated me to attend Medgar? I actually wanted to stay local. I didn't want to go away for college. And Medgar Evers is located in the community where I grew up, was born and raised. So I was like, oh, that was pretty good for me to attend college. And like Trisha said, it was named after a civil rights activist who was very big on equality and wanted for change. So I just wanted to like be proud to attend somewhere located there.
Awesome, great. Appreciate that. What about you, Jessica? What motivated you to attend first St. John's for your undergraduate degree, and then what motivated you to attend Hunter for your master's?
So when I applied to undergrad, I was still kind of undecided on my major. I was torn between education, psych, speech. So I applied, but I also didn't want to go away to school. So I applied to a variety of schools locally that had all of these majors or similar majors. And then I looked at the ones I got into, and I went to the open houses, which are really helpful for getting a feel for the school, like the open house, except the students say. And at St. John's, it was a smaller school. It felt like a family. I remember like everyone like coming up to me, like offering to introduce me to the professors right away. Like knowing like even people who weren't in the major, like, oh, I know someone in this major, I can introduce you. And I just liked the feeling of like the family there. And then with Hunter, I was looking to stay locally again. I still didn't have the money to go away, even though by then I wanted to, but I knew it wasn't feasible monetarily. And then so I looked at a couple of schools that were local, and then I chose the cheapest one that also had a research option because that was something that I was considering. And I knew that would be my last chance to really find out if this was actually something I wanted to pursue. It was not.
Well, at least you found out before it was too late. But yeah, I think you also made a great point that it is important when you are picking college and applying to colleges to think about your financial situation as well. I do know that a lot of, I think, and for most universities, at least like 70% of students do receive some type of aid, whether that be through grants, scholarships, or even financial like aid through loans. So that's also an important thing to look into when you are applying. I'd like to now ask all of you, so like as we've established, you're all currently in college. You, Jessica, recently graduated, so you went through the college admissions process. So I know that we are in the middle of a pandemic, so I'd love to hear from the differences of how the application process was.
So definitely high school, college counselor helped a lot. We did a lot of it in school. I was lucky to have a lot of support in school because I was a first generation college student. My parents didn't go to college, so I had no idea how to do any of this. So a lot of it was being shown the Common App, all the different applications for the schools. Even though it was before COVID, a lot of it is still done online. As far as the actual application, so that's something that I don't think should have changed much by now. Like we were already submitting everything online on the computer. You wrote your essays on Google Docs and copied and pasted them into the application website. As far as finding out about the schools, that was different because you were in person. So we were able to go to large open house events with thousands of other students and meet everyone else who's interested and have one big event where they put everyone in a gym or on campus and talk about the school. And that's how you would find out information, in addition to looking at the school's website.
Applying for the only school I applied for was Medgar Evers, and I'm here still. And applying to go to Medgar, the process for me was a little bit, I was nervous. Let me put that out there first. I was nervous. That's how I felt. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the school was going to be like, what the teachers were going to be like, the professors, the students. But what helped for me was the open house, being in campus and meeting other students and getting a tour of the school. It made me feel a lot more comfortable. And the reason I felt nervous was I had a break from high school into college. So that was a gap. And then entering into college after having a gap, it was a little bit terrifying for me. All the applications was done online. Everything was submitted online. And I did my associate at Medgar, and also I'm doing my bachelor's now at Medgar. Everything, the process is online, and that was prior to COVID as well.
For me, I went to CUNY, the CUNY office on 42nd Street. And I don't know what prompted me to go there, because I knew I was going to attend Megger. I mean, I was a little iffy because the other option for me was Brooklyn College. But when I got to CUNY, I don't know how it happened, but they were very helpful. That's what I could say. They were very, very helpful. And you get to see all the different, there's different colleges, all the colleges that CUNY is affiliated with, and they all are very helpful there. So the process was pretty much easy because after we did admissions, they assisted with financial aid, they assisted with scholarships. It was like the easiest transition. And then they sent me to go to Megger just to confirm that everything was done. So that was what I did.
Very cool. Seeing kind of some similarities, but also different range of experiences. You actually went in person to Medgar's campus to confirm everything?
Yeah, they
Very
had said,
cool.
you can go to Megger and just confirm that that they received your application. And then when I went, honestly, when I got to Megger and I went to the admissions to confirm, I realized I could have just went to Megger because they had everything that CUNY did have as far as filing everything. But for some reason, I just ended up on 42nd Street at the CUNY place.
And I'll work on the end, so. But thanks for sharing. And now, Jamel, I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Like, I know, as we've mentioned, like the application process itself has been virtual, but I know with the start of the pandemic back in March of last year, or even however long ago, it's been too long, things like definitely shifted from like what Jessica was saying, there used to be virtual, there used to be in-person tours, now everything's virtual. So how was the application process for you amidst the pandemic?
No, it was actually before the pandemic. But it was actually easy because we had my high school, because I was in 12th grade, so they had the 12th grade the guidance counselors. They was like really on to us on our like graduation process, not graduation, sorry, our college like application process. First we um first we did our research on, we had to pick 5 schools that we really wanted to do our research. It was like we took like 3 months into doing that because we had to choose the right school that we wanted to and pick on the right path that we want to attend. So it was really easy. Everything was like online, but one thing that I should have done was went to open houses to see the colleges. Like I had choices, but I was just being lazy, and I feel like I should have done that more.
Another thing I'd like to add, within applying to colleges too, you have to take into consideration the distance. Are you willing to travel versus what borough you live in, and how far would it be for you to commute to campus? Meaning that, let's say if you have morning classes, sometimes the train mess up and you can be late for class. And that was one of the things I took into consideration, the distance and the accessibility of transportation. CUNY with Medgar, it's located central, train stations, the 3 to 4, the buses were there, and all those were convenient for me. I'm also a parent, and it allowed me to be a parent and still attend school, to pick up my daughter. So I did, that was one of the other factors that helped me to apply to Medgar again.
Yeah, it's a really great point that you just brought up. Even like for those youth out there that are interested in like going to universities that are farther out from the New York City area, like something upstate or even something out of state. Another consideration is like dorming. Like I know most schools require freshmen at least to dorm on campus. There's also like off-campus housing options, so that's something you should also look into. Yeah, definitely commute, transportation, all very fair points. Do you want to add anything, Martini?
I fully agree with what Trisha said. That was one of the reasons. I think that is why I did not go to Brooklyn College. Now that I think about it, because I do have 2 kids too, and Medgar Evers was the closer route. That was probably why I ended up in Medgar Evers and not Brooklyn College. Yeah, so I fully agree, knowing the distance and the commute, because you do have to juggle time. And for me, it was important that I could get classes at the time that my kids were in class as well, and be able to come out in time to go pick them up and then drop them off then to go to work. So that was important. So I fully agree with what Trisha said.
I agree too. And I just feel like we all, I mean, to like encourage people to just do their research on to attending college and know which one they need to go to instead of like, oh, let's go to the same college as my best friend or my friend. I just feel like everybody's path is different, and just know which one you lead to and go into your own path.
I like that.
Also do your research on your major. Sometimes what could help you apply
Yes.
to college is based on, like my major is public administration, and Medgar Evers was ranked in the top 10 of colleges in the public administration as a major. So that's a big thing. So you should consider what colleges that are offering your major, because some colleges don't have all the courses and you may have to do a bridge program, like going to some classes in one campus and another campus. So make sure and do your research, see how well-rounded the school is in your major, check the resources they have and the support they have with your major. Definitely, I agree with you on, don't just pick a college because my friends are going there.
Going off of that, also like try and talk to, if you know what major you're interested in, try and look on social media and find like groups or pages of people in that major, like current students, because they can help you a lot. Like I know, for example, I was between CSI and St. John's mainly for undergrad because they were both in Staten Island and I didn't want to commute off the island since it was going to take a long time. And at the time, I was like, well, CSI doesn't have speech pathology. They only have linguistics. And I don't think that would work as well. Years later, I found out it was basically the same thing, just with a different name. They had all the classes I would have needed to meet the requirements for grad school. I don't regret my choice. I loved St. John's, but just something to know, like just because it doesn't say the exact name, depending on what you're interested in, look into the actual courses that are with each major. You could usually find it on the school's website. Any school, you go into like the academic section and you look at the majors, and it should tell you what courses they offer for each major. And admissions can also help you find someone to talk to who can also go over that with you. So if you talk to current students and you know what you need and what you're interested in, don't just write off a school because say that you're interested in, like, you want to go to medical school, but the school doesn't have a specifically pre-med track. Their bio major may have all the classes you need in order to do pre-med, and they're just not calling it that. So make sure that you actually like really look into the different options.
Very great points made by Olivia. Yeah, I think kind of all circling back to research, really taking that time to look into college, not just choosing one by off of a whim, or like Jamel said, not just choosing one because your friends are going there. It's important to choose a college that will help, that is has like the majors or the like those topics that you want to study, and that has like Trisha mentioned also like the ranking that you want. Like if it's a well-known program, you want to go to that college that has a program that you're interested in. So thank you all for making those points. Appreciate that. I want to kind of talk a little more about specifically some best tips and practices you have. We all know from our experiences, the college admissions it's a very long process, and one of the most important parts of that is the college admissions essay or essays. I know some colleges also have supplemental essays specifically for their universities. So do you have any like best tips or like best practices to share that you'd like to share when it comes to writing college essays?
Start early. Your first draft for your essay, it could be anything. It could be complete trash. But the idea is to start writing something, and don't worry too much about what prompt you start with. Especially now the Common App has added like other essay of your choice. So you could pick a prompt to start with, and if it doesn't turn out to be the essay you planned, that's okay. You could work with it from there. So just start by writing anything. Like it could just be a complete brain dump because it's easier to edit than it is to start. Also, before you submit it, have someone who doesn't know you read over your essay. Like it's helpful to have someone who does know you read it over in the early stages to help you like get your thoughts out and like figure out, wait, what have I done? because sometimes you've done amazing things and you don't even recognize it, but people close to you will remember and will recognize that. But then before you submit it, the college admissions people who are reading your essays, they don't know you. They know nothing about you. So yeah, your mom might think this is a great essay, and because they know the context behind it. So you talked about how you joined this club, and to your mom, she knows all these great things you did with this club and how amazing it was. But on paper, all you did was mention that you did a club and you did some volunteer work. But the college admissions officers, they don't really know that. So someone unfamiliar would be able to point that out to you ahead of time.
I agree, and I want to add on what Jessica said. You give it to someone, which is what I did. I mean, Megger didn't ask us to, not to me personally. I don't remember them asking for an essay, but whenever I am writing an essay for a scholarship, I actually give it out to either my advisor or I'll give it to some of my, not peers, but I do have peers who already graduated from college. So I'll give them the essay so they can take a fine look at that essay. So I fully agree with you, Jessica.
I agree too. Yeah, definitely start early. I think it's important. Even in my own experience, yeah, like really what you mentioned, Jessica, like why I ended up submitting was definitely not what I started with, but the entire process of just starting, just putting down like everything that came to mind really helped.
Just to piggyback off Jessica, definitely start early. And it's definitely important to have somebody proofread it. And I would say, I agree with you, Jessica, have someone that don't know you that could proofread it, because within proofreading it, or especially like for me, Medgar did not offer an essay to enter, but let's say it's a scholarship or a grant or something you're applying for, have it proofread, because with this, it allows grammar, and even if not grammar or corrections in spelling, what punctuations. So have someone proofread it. Also, I would agree with you, Martina, that maybe sometimes for me, I've had my college professor proofread some essays that I'm applying for college. Like, professor, I'm applying for this. What do you think of this? Is this good? Or what do you think? It's a public administration law scholarship or grant. Do you think I could add something else? Did I leave out anything else? Should I edit? What should I elaborate on? How about my punctuations? Am I using keywords? You know, so all of this is important in writing your essay, depending on what you're applying for.
Yes, I would like to agree. Even also, like, if you're in school, ask like a favorite teacher, or like someone who you know, those teachers been in college and stuff. Just ask them for their experience, and hey, can you look at my college exception essay, and just like, you know, go over it. And then, you know, these teachers will give them feedback, and I just feel like feedback is so awesome because they know, they've been through the same experience that we have, so they will understand.
Awesome. Yeah, very true. That also brings up a good point. I know one of the other parts of the application are your letters of recommendation. So just to FYI, I think that's something you should also reach out to early for any teachers, any work supervisors, anyone that can talk to your talents. What makes you a great applicant? Definitely important to do. Kind of want to shift. Oh yes, go ahead, Trisha.
One thing I would say with letter of recommendation, I have applied for different scholarships, and what helps is getting a letter from, let's say I'm applying for a public administration scholarship. What helps? A letter of recommendation, yes, but for me, I got a lot of letters, but the letters that I picked to submit was the one from professors in that department. I may have English professors, but again, be mindful of what scholarship or what you're applying for. If it's a scholarship on law, to me, it would be more impactful if I could get a professor from the law department to give me a recommendation versus a professor that's an English professor. So when I'm applying and they see head of the law department give me a recommendation for a scholarship in this law department or whatever it is, it hits bells and rings note depending on who give you the recommendation. So recommendation letter, it's important, but be mindful of who you're putting there for the recommendation.
I am applying to get into downstate for their nursing program, and they actually are requiring 2 recommendation letters from bio. Like, it can't be from anywhere else. And this is true. And because it's a nursing and it does have something to do with biology, and they're requiring it from the bio department, you know. And in my head, when I originally saw the requirements, I said, oh, I'm going to ask my advisor. I'm going to ask, you know, all the people who I know me. And then when I further read it, it said it has to be 2 from, and they told me what majors too. So my best advice is do good in all your classes, because you're going to need a recommendation letter.
I think, yeah, I mean, like that also goes like kind of to what we were all talking about before, you know, like if you're applying to a college or you like have a certain like major or like career path in mind, some colleges, some programs, like they, for example, if you're applying to like for example, let's say like an engineering program at some college, some colleges may actually require you to have like either like math or physics teachers write recommendations. So it's not always open-ended. So that again, that kind of ties back into doing your research and knowing what each college requires for their admissions process. I know most colleges do use the Common App, but there are a few like either supplemental materials like letters of recommendation. Like some colleges have different numbers of requirements that like have like more like different specifications, like Martini mentioned. But yeah, also great points. And kind of on the topic of majors, what inspired, motivated all of you to choose the major that you ended up studying?
When I initially start college as a freshman, I had no idea. I'm going to be honest. I had no clue what I wanted to do. Absolutely no clue. But I knew I wanted to go to college. When I started as a freshman, they give you all a little taste of all subjects. And these some of these classes, some people already know what they want to become. Like, for instance, let's say Martini decided, I know I want to be a nurse. So she knows I have to do all biology. But with Medgar Evers College, they give you a bunch of classes that some of these classes do not apply to your major. And I understand why. You may have art, music, and I'm like, okay, within these class, liberal, they call it liberal arts or whatever, I'll figure out what I want to do. So this was easy for me because within getting a taste of all the different classes, whether it's math, whether it's accounting, whether it's biology, I quickly realized in my first to second semester, I couldn't do anything that was, not that I couldn't, it wasn't my specialty area of biology, science, math. And I realized that I was excelling in reading, business classes, accounting, and government. What also helped me decide on my major was internship. So I decided I'm doing well in business classes and government. But how do I know I really like this, or this is what I want to do as a passion when I graduate as a career? So I did an internship in the field, and also doing an internship also allowed me to solidify that, yes, this is where I see myself. So for me, I started not knowing, and the classes that I did well in, I realized like it came like second nature to me. And doing an internship just reinforced that this is for me. So that's how I picked my major.
I knew, as Jessica said, no, I'm sorry, as Trisha said, I did know I wanted to do nursing. That was my thought forever and a day. And again, I'm going to go back to research. So I knew that I wanted to do nursing. The prerequisite classes that colleges do give you, I don't know if all colleges do it, but they were those prerequisites that gave you a little bit of everything. And then you taste a little bit of each course to see which one, you know, you get a knack for. I kept pushing, even though just as Trisha said, science was not my favorite, but I knew I wanted to do nursing. So I said, this is what I have to do. But how come why I'm in psychology now? A little research, I saw that downstate had a really awesome program, but it requires me to have a bachelor's degree. And back to what Jessica said, knowing the type of research you're doing and calling and speaking to people is really important, because then you really get an understanding on what is it you have before you go somewhere too. Like that's really important. So when I called downstate to find out how can I get into this nursing program, am I losing if I come to this program, am I losing classes, like what is the benefit there? And because you could read the admissions and you could read the requirement, and not all the time you fully understand it, but when you call and you can speak with someone, it does help. So I was able to go into psychology because that prerequisite of those little courses that I had at the beginning of my semester, I realized I did like psychology. So it was easy for me to transition and say, you know what? I'll complete a bachelor's in psychology, and then this is what it requires for me to go into downstate. So it'll all work out.
I'll go. So, what inspired me to choose psychology as a major was actually my 11th grade year when I became a mentor for ninth graders. And I'm like, wow, this is actually a good opportunity for me to teach them and help them, assist them in their ninth grade experience. So I'm like, wow, I should use this as a career. And then, like Machini said, I started to research like what type of job I should do and what career path I should walk into. So I looked in and I wanted to be a guidance counselor, even though I was influenced by my other guidance counselor. She was like, you're really good at giving advice and listening to people. So I'm like, okay, that's really good. And now that actually, when I went into Mega Evers, I actually lost my purpose of why I wanted to go. I mean, why I wanted to be in this field or major. And like recently, I was gave the opportunity to mentor incoming college students. Sorry, and then now I've realized my purpose is to be a listening ear, even giving good advice and what I've been through and share my story. And I feel like that's really helpful. And that's what inspired me.
Amazing, thank you.
Inspired me for speech was my brother has childhood apraxia of speech. So I was kind of around it my whole life, but then for the longest time I said, okay, I want to work with kids, but I don't want to do speech because I've been around it too much. So I went in thinking I'm gonna do education. And then when I was in high school, I had the chance to shadow an SLP, a speech pathologist, and also to volunteer in a tutoring center and a classroom setting. And I realized I hated the big class. I hated being in such, like, having to manage all these kids and following a curriculum. I didn't like the structure of it. It was too much for me. And it wasn't what interested me. But I really enjoyed watching the SLP. And as I looked more into the major, I was like, wait, there's a lot more to this than just what my brother was getting. There's like I learned that I found language really interesting. So then I went to St. John's then thinking, okay, I'll declare my major speech going in so then I can get like the scholarships and all. And I can always change it if I need to. They have education there, they have plenty of other majors. And then my very first class in college was phonetics, like my first day, first ever college class. And right then I was like, this is so fascinating. I love this. This is so interesting. And so I stuck with it.
It's awesome. We have so many different experiences, different stories. You know, we have like Trisha who didn't really know what she wanted to do, but then ended up finding her passion. We had Jessica who kind of had idea going in, and you're like yours was more solidified. Jamela, you were inspired before you even applied to college, and you're now being in college helped you be re-inspired, be re-motivated. And Martina, you said that you've always wanted to do nursing. So I love how we all see like the whole spectrum. You know, you don't have to go into college knowing what you want to do. Like you can go like in Trisha's example and just know that you want to go to college and you'll find your major. Like that's why they do give you those liberal arts courses the first 2 semesters to help you, especially for students that are undecided, to help you figure out like, oh, do I like English? Maybe not so much, but I do like history. So maybe I'll do something like that. So I appreciate hearing all of your stories. Kind of want to change things up a little bit and like go into more on what college life is like, specifically, I should say, with classes now. Like I know Trisha and Martini and also Jessica, you know what classes have been like to be in person on campus. Jamella's, you may have as well, but I know things are more virtual now. So could you talk a little bit about how things were before and how that transition has been?
For me, when I first started, I started in person. I enjoyed the college experience, interacting with other students from different majors, different clubs, one-on-one with the professors. So it was an amazing experience. But within my second year of college, I was just curious. And I said to myself, I wonder what it would be like to just take an online class. So I started off with my 5 regular classes and I said, all right, I'll take 2 classes online. I'll start off with 2 and see how that goes, how it works. And I realized I did my due diligence before I picked my online classes. I researched the professor, get feedback from other students. What is it like doing an online class? What to expect? How is the syllabus different? How is interacting? How would you meet with the teachers? And after having my own experience of doing 2 classes online, I went the next semester and I transferred everything online. And that was way before the pandemic. And when the pandemic hit, it was easy for me to just remain online because I was transitioning.
I started before COVID and it wasn't bad. I like to go to the college as well. What I really preferred, I'm not gonna lie, was the tutor, one-on-one, face-to-face. That was more impactful for me. But to be honest, I love online too. I do. And one of the things I love about it is, as a parent, it's less pressure from, all these different commutes and trying to make it on time. Whereas online is less pressure to me because it's at home, so I'm not up and down. So I do appreciate that. Um, uh, if there is, you said practices and routine, if you can get a tutor, to me, get a tutor. And that's what's really helping me, especially for things that I'm not able to get clarification from the professor, because there's the asynchronous and then there is the synchronous. So a lot of the classes are pre-recorded too. So therefore, a tutor really helps. And having a nice network does help, where you can ask some questions. Hey, did you understand this? Asking questions are really, really important, especially with virtual, opposed to just allowing yourself not to know. So I think that's really important, but I do prefer virtual. I do. I'm mad they want us to go back.
I have a very different opinion. I hated online. I took a few online classes in undergrad, partially by choice, partially because it was either take them online or go to Queens to take them, because they weren't offered on the Staten Island campus of St. John's. And I was like, well, that's a really long commute. So I'll just do online. And it wasn't as bad because I was able to take them with friends who I was already taking in-person classes with. So we would do our online classes together also. We would meet on campus and like do it there. So it definitely helped us. But then during COVID with virtual, it really sucked for me because also I had a lot of trouble making friends at first in grad school because it was my first time ever like starting in a school knowing absolutely no one. And just when I finally like started to like get my footing, like make some friends, like start to socialize, and then everything shut down. And I was like, well, there goes that.
I'm actually in between. I do like online and then I do like in person. So my first college experience was in person and it gave me so much. Like it gave me like tutoring, networking, and then it was like when the pandemic happened, even though before the pandemic, that semester, I did choose an online class. And like Jessica said, I just needed someone to just stay on me and to like submit the assignments and stuff because I wasn't at the time. But then like once all my classes was online, I was like, okay, I need to be focused. I need to start submitting assignments. I just needed that motivation. And I feel like in person, it was motivating. Like I had to attend classes, I had to see the professor, I had to go to those meetings. And it's like now that we're home, it's like, oh my gosh, we're the networking, we're the friends that push you. Like, I'm like, I needed that. Like, Martina, do you remember when we was in the library, we had those like study halls? I'm like, oh my gosh, I need
Yes.
that. Like,
I remember
I
now that
swear.
you saying it.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, we did have some good times with face to face.
yeah,
It's not that I didn't forget, what I think what I'm realizing between me, Trisha, Jamel, and Jessica, me and Trisha have children. Whereas Jamel, I would say, and Jessica do not have children yet. So I
correct,
would think, of course, that's probably why the motivation is a little different.
correct. But I feel like because I have my sister too. She's Shanice. She's also with us. Like, I have to like motivate her too. And she sometimes motivate me too. So it's like we both have each other back. So like now that we're in the same college, and it's like we like she didn't have the firsthand experience of college like I did. So it's like I'm learning from her and she's learning from me, and it's like a great experience.
Yeah, I think like it's like that one like one of the kind of like ultimate experiences of college is like, like being on campus, having that experience. So like of course it's difficult, it's different having to do everything online. Like even for me, yeah, like I was still in college. I was in my final semester when we transitioned from virtual. And like Jessica said, a lot of professors struggled with transitioning their coursework and their material from an in-person setting to a virtual setting.
I
And I've
agree.
had a few professors that really did try to make the class just exactly the way it was. And that doesn't necessarily translate as well at all. But yeah, thank you all for sharing. Again, seeing sort of the different thoughts and opinions on in-person classes. Me, yes, I would say me because I didn't have that much of an experience. It was only like the last 2 or 3 months. But I think for me, I'm like a decent mix between in-person and virtual. Like I like the virtual, like where I don't have to go to class and sit through the lecture. I can listen to it on my own time. But then I also like the interaction like with my friends, with my classmates, even being in that classroom itself. So I hear you all make great valid points.
I actually also miss activities on campus, like the clubs and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's way different virtually versus in person.
Brandy, do you also like to talk a little bit more about what like the experience it is on campus now, or like still in the virtual sphere, like what activities, like extracurricular activities, like how do club meetings work? How do students still find ways to organize and stay in touch?
I guess it's also a part of the programs that you're in. Aside from going to Mega Evers, I'm also in the SEEK program, and the SEEK program is very active in having events and having workshops, trying to keep people, keep their students feeling normal with this transition. And there are different programs that you can apply to keep yourself active. There's many workshops. That's the one thing I can say. And I say this to my student, to the mentees, because I do have mentees that I mentor, and go to the workshops, especially if you're someone who likes interaction, you know. If you're someone who likes interaction and you like networking, go to the workshops. The workshops are very, very eventful.
I would like to add on to what you said. Please join clubs if you can, because when I originally started, my main interest was I just want to graduate. I'm ready to get up out of here. I want my good grades. I'm on a mission. And midway through, I realized, like, what does my transcript say? It just say, okay, she's an A+ student. And I wanted to show that beside an A+ student, that I'm a well-rounded student. I volunteered in the school pantry on campus. I was the public administration club president. I'm also a part of student government, the secretary there. I'm also a part of the SEEK department. I'm a peer mentor. So I got heavily involved. I did scholarships, internship, and because I put myself out there, other teachers and faculty members became familiar with who was I, who is Trisha? Like, this is just your report card. She's an A student. Now working with me, I get recommendations, because you're going to need some recommendations letter if you're going to go on to further your education. And these things look good on your transcript. And it's easier also to have whether it's a professor, write you a letter of recommendation for internship, a scholarship, or to further your education, whether you want to go to grad school or wherever it takes you. So definitely, if you can, get involved in these different things that school offer.
What Trisha's saying is really true. It does help for that transcript, and it helps in many different venues, because I don't know if you know, Trisha, I was on my LinkedIn and I saw you. I saw you representing the Student Government Association, and I wanted to say, oh my goodness, congratulations, because look where it reached, you know? So this is good, you know, it definitely is when you are part of these networks and these different organizations, because it does look good on paper as well.
Yeah, very true. I think both you, Trisha and Martini, and even you, Jessica, y'all made some really excellent points. I think, yeah, it is important to get involved. I know it might be a little difficult in the virtual setting, but like to Martini's point, when you do get like those emails for like those like random trivia nights or whatever that might be, if you want to get involved, that's a great way to start. Like maybe you'll meet people through there you can then maybe try to meet up with or connect with virtually. It's very true. I know we're almost out of time, almost at the end, so I'd like to give you all a chance to say any last final thoughts you'd like to share, any last pieces of advice.
Just to add on to what we were saying, like networking takes you a long way in college experience. Just like what Trisha said, you need someone to do your recommendation letter. So networking, like even if you have those great professors, once you're in college, you get those great professors. You hold on to them, remember their name and stuff, so you could always go back and they'll write you your recommendation, and just become not become a teacher's pet, but just stand on to that idea.
No, become a teacher's pet. I don't see what's wrong with that. I am one, and I'm
No, I
okay
am
with
one
that.
too. That's what I'm saying. But I feel
Mhm.
like everybody be
I
like,
am a
"Oh
teacher's
my
pet all the way. They lucky I can't give a virtual coffee.
God."
For me, I just wanted to work hard. I didn't care whether I was a pet, I wasn't a pet. I wanted to make sure I excelled in my class. And these teachers recognize who are really working hard. And again, because of that,
Right.
like Manny said, if you go onto my LinkedIn as a student, about a week ago, I had dinner with Cathy, the governor. I had different opportunities that the college allowed me to do. Some were internships, some were scholarships, some were different events, and some were on my own as well. So network, get involved if you can, reach out to other students that doing your major. They could also collaborate with you also to help you within homework or study groups. Networking is the key, and time management. It will help you through college.
That brings us to an end tonight. Thank you all so much for joining. Trisha, Martini, Jamel, Jessica, appreciate you taking the time to speak about your experiences and answer my questions and share your insights and your knowledge. And thank you everyone else for joining us. I hope this was very useful to you, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening.